I thought you guys were exaggerating.
I think that I bought a fake YSL cardholder from RealReal.
The RealReal has been reselling fake goods.
The way that we were expected to work was like a machine.
It is old news that the RealReal is the Wild Wild West right now. However, I did not know that it was completely fucking unhinged.
Hi, it's Sam. I'm a fashion lover who follows the designer industry and likes to dig deeper into trends to help you understand them. So if you love fashion or are just curious about it, go ahead and subscribe. So today I want to talk about the RealReal.
Merchandise volume up 48%. Revenue up 52% in the first 9 months of the year. Still, company financials show it's not profitable.
I want to talk about where they started to where they are now, as they've recently come up in quite a bit of conversation on TikTok surrounding authenticity and description of their items. I want to dive a little deeper. If you like fashion at all, you probably have a coveted designer piece. Maybe it's a Chanel flap or a rare pair of Manolo Blahniks, but a lot of us would find saving up for one of these near impossible. Prices for these bags have been rising exponentially, even though many feel like the quality has gone down. Chanel most recently increased the price of their classic flat bag to $10,400, an increase of 37.5% in the last 3 years. To compare this, Chanel stopped gold plating their hardware with 24 karat gold and started using an unknown but not real gold colored hardware in late 2008. At this time, a classic flap still went for $1,150, equivalent to only about $1,600 today, far off from the 10 times price tag of $10,400. So with rising costs and rising awareness of the effect that the designer fashion industry has on our environment, many have chosen to purchase resold or gently used designer items. Opting for gently used purses can allow for fashion lovers to purchase seemingly higher quality pieces, vintage styles, and limited edition versions that are no longer in stores. This has led to a rise in many resale sites such as Fashionphile, Farfetch Pre-Owned, StockX, Rebag, and the subject of our video today, the RealReal. In addition to brokering sales, there are really only two things that these sites need to do: show in detail and accurately assess the wear and tear of the used item, and verify the authenticity of these bags. Unfortunately, in the case of the RealReal, it seems like they failed on both of these requirements. The RealReal was started by Julie Wainwright in June of 2011 after she went shopping at a consignment shop with a friend and realized consignment isn't just lower end. Designer labels could be thrifted as well. The light bulb went off and I did extensive research of the luxury and resale markets and even tested resale methods myself. There was a massive market opportunity to create a beautiful shopping experience, preserve the romance of luxury brands, ensure authenticity, and remove barriers to consignment. Not to mention the business model would be impervious to the likes of Amazon and Alibaba, Julie said. Julie was previously the CEO of an infamously known .com bubble brand, Pets.com. Because it failed so publicly, the name continued to follow her, leaving her to conclude she would need to make her own job opportunities moving forward. Julie raised $1.1 million of seed money to launch the business, and in 2013 completed Series B funding of $14 million. She cited a membership of 750,000 people, of which 5,000 were paying $5 a month to have early access to shop products 24 hours before anyone else.
How we can just send it to us and we can authenticate it for you for free. I'm sorry, because I thought you were supposed to authenticate it before you brought the bag in, but don't think I would spend like over $1,000 or anything from the RealReal. Like, I'm only buying little clothes, like little tiny pieces.
In 2019, Forbes published an article titled, "The RealReal Sold Me a $3,600 Fake. Here's Why Counterfeit Slipped Through Its Authentication Process," that pointed out that while online, the RealReal described their detailed authentication process, there were customers and prior RealReal employees that were pointing out it was quite different. A consumer protection group, the Capital Forum, published results of its in-depth investigation into the RealReal's authentication process before the Forbes article, where 7 prior employees were interviewed. The employees were hourly paid, said turnover was high, and all said they didn't feel like they had the right training to do this level of authentication. They give you a quick 5-minute presentation on what things should look like and then have you go. But all they care about is the product getting on the site. The pay was so low and the work so grueling that everybody thought of it as just a temporary job, said one interviewee. So no one really took it that seriously because they'd be gone in a couple of months.
I don't think anyone had enough training to authenticate anything.
And the RealReal's quote, expert behind every item?
Only some items.
Which also, can we pause here for a moment? She had $14 million in money from her funding, and these people were getting paid hourly. Like, you're still starting up as a business. Don't you want to build trust in your name? The RealReal responded to this research that these sort of hourly employees only authenticate their low-risk items and have higher trained authentication professionals who authenticate the higher risk items.
CNBC obtained this internal chart from 2018 sent out to copywriters, spelling out what was to be processed by the authentication team and what copywriters were to handle.
They also condemned the writer of the article at the time, that their, quote, actions and misrepresentations are clearly calculated to sell their subscriptions and improperly manipulate the market for the benefit of short sellers on behalf of their subscribers. The RealReal stands 100% behind our state-of-the-art authentication process. So keep that in mind, 100%. Although it isn't just journalists, consumers, and professional authenticators who found fakes on the RealReal. Chanel filed a lawsuit against the company in 2018 citing counterfeit goods were being sold.
They're back and forth over a number of claims. But if you dig, you find Chanel's original claim for false advertising and trademark infringement. This is not a bad Yelp review. These are the judge's words. Advertisements regarding the authenticity of the products it sells are literally false.
As imagined, the RealReal wasn't too happy about this look on their image and countersued Chanel, basically saying that Chanel was an investor in Farfetch and didn't try to sue them. It was really just a for business kind of move. All of this was going on in 2018, about when the RealReal was about to IPO. At the time of the IPO, the RealReal supposedly had a valuation of $1.5 billion and was priced at $20 a share, but opened on the market at $28 per share, a sign that investors were really interested in this product. Not unlike many other IPOs, the share price then dipped a little bit in the days following to hovering between $25 to $27 a share. That is until November of 2019 when CNBC published yet another article on the authentication issues and the price dropped 19%. At this point, the company still had not turned a profit, but opened 13 more brick and mortar stores across the country from the previous 3 and signed leases on 2 huge warehouses to store products. Employees at the time stated everything they did was to make it look good to the investors, but in actuality, the issues were piling up. One customer reported a $10,000 Hermes bag getting lost on its way being mailed to her house. Another found dirty underwear in a parka that she ordered. Employees were overworked and underpaid, being asked to have quotas of 120 items per day. And if an item was not usable or unauthentic, this didn't count towards their quota. Consigners were upset that it was now taking months instead of weeks for their items to be listed. And sometimes they were listed inaccurately, like how a pair of shorts were put on a mannequin like a top. This is hilarious, but it does make you think of how either untrained or overworked these people were that they thought that this was the correct way to market this product. Some consigners' items were being lost completely, while others on the site were listed for pennies compared to their original prices. An $8,500 Oscar de la Renta gown was sold for $200 without the approval of the consigner due to automation issues that priced the item incorrectly. By the time the sales associate got back to the consigner who had raised the issue, the dress was long gone. Without yet turning a profit despite being an 8-year-old business at this point, investors became smarter than the hype of the new company and realized the authentication process wasn't as robust as they were led to believe. A lawsuit was filed at the end of 2021 alleging the RealReal misrepresented their authentication process, leading to investments that wouldn't have been made if the information had been public. A tumultuous year meant that the company ended with losses. Although revenue was up 56% from 2020 to 2021, overall losses had increased from 176 to 236 million. These lawsuits led to the RealReal paying out an $11 million investor settlement in mid-2022, and the company continued to see losses as they expanded into unprofitable categories like children's clothing and home decor, which cost them far more to authenticate and ship to customers than they made back. With stock now at just over $1 per share, investors demanded change, and Julie stepped down as CEO. She stated she did this as a way to make room for new leadership, but internally it was rumored that she was difficult to work with and didn't want to decrease costs, only worrying about increasing the brand and revenue. For 8 months while the RealReal searched for a new CEO, Chief Operating Officer Rati Sahi Levesque and Chief Financial Officer Robert Julian acted as co-interim executive officers from mid-2022 to early 2023 and cut the overall workforce by 7% to reduce costs. 6 brick-and-mortar stores were also closed in 2022, and the commission structure was updated to reward sellers for more profitable items. When the now current CEO, John Correll, joined in early 2023, another 230 jobs were cut. And so far, year-to-date losses aren't up significantly from the year prior, but Correll says the company will be profitable by 2024. As the market for luxury, vintage, and resold goods begins to increase, you would think that the RealReal would be thriving in this environment. But at the same time, competition has increased. Luxury retailers are even opening up their own resale sites. If Chanel opened their own resale department, many consumers would be willing to pay a little bit more to know that for sure the item is authentic. As jobs were cut, stores closed, and lawsuits mounted, consumers flocked to TikTok to air their grievances and found a community of those wronged by the RealReal. Not only were people finding out that fakes were being sold, but that sometimes the description didn't actually match what the product was like. Today, the RealReal is going through a major shift in their management, but I think it's going to take longer than the 1 year John Correll mentioned to completely revive the brand. And at this point, I don't know if the negative press and bad image that the RealReal has acquired is something they can escape from. I did quite a bit of research on the RealReal myself in preparation for this video, and I can see why the site is addicting. Thousands of new items are listed every day. You can find great prices for items, but if there's no funnel of people wanting to sell their items, you've got a problem. If consigners can get higher returns from other websites and buyers can have more certified authenticity from other websites as well, the RealReal is in real trouble. Quick fit check. I don't really know what this is. I've basically been sitting around all day. That is the coverage of the RealReal from where they started up until today. I am so curious about what you all think about this. If you've ever shopped from the RealReal, please tell us your experience, or if you've decided not to shop, tell us why. It'll be a very interesting year for the RealReal. I don't know that they'll be profitable by next year, but if they do, it'd be very interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, if you love luxury fashion and you love diving deeper into trends and stories, please go ahead and subscribe. Let me know what sort of video you'd want to see next. What do you want to do a deep dive on? And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.